was the anniversary of the poisoning of the Skripals. And well, the Russians have decided to publish a statement on this. So here we are, Salisbury, 5 years of unanswered questions. This is from the Russian embassy in London. Let's just look at the first paragraph. 5 years ago, on 4th of March 2018, Sergei and Yulia Skripal were reportedly poisoned with a nerve agent in Salisbury, Wiltshire. The UK government has accused the Russian state of being responsible for the poisoning. Russia has denied any involvement. The incident has caused major international repercussions, severely undermining Russia-UK and Russia-West relations and becoming one of the initial elements of a massive and orchestrated campaign aimed at discrediting our country. Yet details of what actually happened remain unclear and there are no credible explanations in sight. Now, I'm going to say it's come from the Russians, but I think everybody should have a read of that document. It's freely available. Here's what Maria Zakharova had to say. Up until now, the UK has been unable to provide any reliable information on the Skripal case. At the same time, the UK leaders unashamedly continue using it in their large-scale anti-Russia propaganda campaign. Alex, very briefly, do you think that Maria Zakharova is being unfair in that statement?
No. Where is the reliable information? It's as simple as that. If there is reliable information, let's have it in a sentence or a paragraph. It hasn't been produced.
Indeed. So just want to highlight a couple of articles on the UK column website on this. One from Alex here, Skripal, a Russian web or a Rusi web. Some contours relevant to understanding the possible roles of certain British intelligence officers in the Skripal case. Do have a look at that. We should not forget, by the way, that Porton never denied manufacturing Novichok themselves, although we would question whether there was any actual deployment of Novichok in the wild under this. Another article on the UK column website, The Day of the Skripal by Tim Norman, published just last November. This shows a timeline of the mainstream media coverage of this event, and it is a long article, but it's worth working your way through because it probably raises more questions than it answers. In fact, it definitely raises more questions than it answers because it absolutely shows the holes in the mainstream media narrative. But if you want to see our coverage over the years, just search for Skripal on the UK column website. Use the search box to do that. I just want to highlight one comment from Dame Sally Davies. We've shown this many times, but it's just worth reminding ourselves. This was the chief medical officer, the equivalent of Chris Whitty when she was chief medical officer in 2018. And Brian, I mean, the statement is ridiculous. My advice for any individual: wash your clothes and wipe down any personal items, shoes and bags with cleansing or baby wipes before disposing of them in the usual way. This was her advice if people suspected they had come into contact with Novichok. And our question from the beginning, Brian, was how can anybody with any kind of scientific or medical qualifications make the claim that cleansing wipes or baby wipes were going to deal with it?
Well, it was complete and utter nonsense, and certainly any military people that have been through biological chemical warfare training, well, I've done it myself, and you look at what that lady says, she's simply not credible. But for her to make this wild claim, she's actually using psychology on the mindset of the nation.
There were many parallels with what happened with Skripal, the Skripal affair, and what then subsequently happened with COVID-19. But although the UK column was once again speaking out against this narrative, there were a couple of voices in the mainstream at the time that were also speaking out. So this was Seamus Martin in the Irish Times. Unlikely that Vladimir Putin behind the Skripal poisoning attack would, well, you can read that one for yourself. And then this was a German article along the same kind of lines. Whether Russia wanted to kill Skripal is highly questionable. But there is one question that still is outstanding, and that is, where are the Skripals? Because they disappeared. They've never been seen or heard of since. We have never heard from them personally what happened, and I don't think we ever will.
No, because they were clearly actors in a very high-level game by the British government.
Okay, if you like what the UK column does, you'd like to support us, please head over to community.ukcolumn.org. There are options to help us out there. You could pick something up at the UK column shop, but please do share material you find on the various platforms.
Okay, and a quick advert. At 1 o'clock on this coming Thursday, we're going to stream out my interview with Moira Dundee, really amazing lady, talking about what happened to her when she started to challenge lockdown north of the border in Scotland. So look out for that video, and I do hope you'll watch, because it's particularly pertinent this week with this, well, I'll call it exposure. Let's be optimistic, where we've got an exposure on the whole of the scam of lockdown. But here Moira talk about what happened to her when she started to challenge that lockdown in Scotland. And also an advert here for AV13, Sunday the 22nd of October 2023. This is going to be at the Leonardo Hotel in Milton Keynes.
So a real physical event?
It's a real physical event. It's one day. This is to help get Alternative View kickstarted again. Thomas Sheridan has kindly agreed to act as guest host. So I am going to be speaking. I will have a few words to say, but I'm delighted that Thomas Sheridan is taking up the baton to help AV get back to its true weekend form. But an important thing to say to people is that if you need accommodation, that is not included with any of the tickets for this one-day event, and you will need to make your own calls to sort out hotel accommodation, whether it's at the Leonardo or elsewhere. And also, we're going to alert people that the 22nd of April, there will be an AV live stream, which the UK column will help to facilitate. And the subject for that is smart cities and the surveillance agenda. And I understand there'll be 4 speakers, and we'll tell you more about those speakers in due course. But the important thing is that if you want to see Alternative View get back up to its true capacity, and that was an audience of close to 500 at the hotel venues just prior to lockdown, if you want to help AV get up to that level, then please support the one-day event, which is going to be a major Kickstarter for the AV team.
I understand tickets are selling well for that, so you may want to get in there.
Yeah.
Yes.